Welcome to the Walking Shoulder to Shoulder Step 12 meeting. It is with much warmth and love that I introduce Nadia, who will be speaking for 30 minutes on our 12th step, which reads: Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. This will be followed by a Q&A. Over to you, Nadia. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Tim. Thanks so much. I am Nadia, and a very, very grateful member of this fellowship. And wow, this is so exciting to be at a meeting, walking shoulder to shoulder, where you guys are very, very obviously super duper focused on the core reason that I'm here. About to celebrate 6 years. I have a beautiful, beautiful life. Children are back in my life. I have a partner. I'm a contributing member to society, and I get to have the most awesome job on planet Earth. I get to work for God. Hey, Lindsay, Isis, it's good to see you. I get to work for God, and I get to help his kids, and I get to see families come back together, and I get to see brothers and sisters come to life. I get to see the lame pick up their bed and start to walk again. I get to see wrinkles disappear. The list goes on and on and on. And here's a meeting dedicated to walking shoulder to shoulder. That's another portion of this gig, step 12. It's shoulder to shoulder. It's trudging the road. It's boots to the ground. Like it is, I want to read a section out of the big book. But before I start, I just want to just take a deep breath. I'm not going to lie, I'm very excited to be here tonight. It's been a very long time since I've been on a meeting with more than 11 members. So my ego is a little bit like, all right. So I'm just going to take a deep breath and just remember why I'm here, that it's not me talking and that I'm just a vessel for God. He knows who's here tonight. There's no way I know who needs to hear what I've got to say. He does, because he is the one who has all power. Right. On page 97, the second paragraph. I love the big book. It is a manual to life. It was the manual to life that I had been searching for my whole life and always felt like everybody had got the memo to getting it, and I missed out on the memo every single time. And then I came into these rooms, and at 18 months, so dry, I was at the jumping off point. And I knew loneliness like only we can, right? The voices were back, the trembling, the restless, irritable discontent, the manifestations of self driven by fear. The four crazy horsemen were with me permanently. And I'm in these rooms and I'm going, what is wrong with me? Like there's something fundamentally wrong with me. I've always felt like that. And here I am sitting in the rooms of CA. I'm sitting in the 12-step rooms and I'm feeling like something's wrong with me because I'm not looking and sounding like you are. Happy, joyous, and free. I'm like, what's wrong? And I took the hand of somebody who spoke a language that came out of this beautiful big book. And I got to see that I was working an 11-step program. And I don't hear about 11-step programs having great success rates. I do know that 12-step programs work amazingly. I was not working with others. So the book says, never avoid these responsibilities, but be sure you are doing the right thing if you assume them. Helping others is the foundation stone of my recovery. I make this book work for me because you know what? This book was written for me. It was written for you, Nikki. It was written for you, John. Sean, this book's got you all over it, my brother. Ahmed, it's so great to see you again. God wrote this book for you. So make this book work for you. Line out all the yours and the theys and make it work for you. Make this book work for you. It is your love letter. A kindly act once in a while isn't enough. I have to act the Good Samaritan every day, if need be. So when I came into the program, you guys were drilling service down my throat. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll get a job. I'll get a gig at one of the meetings, like one of the cool meetings, so that I can meet all the cool speakers. And once a week, I'd like rock up at a meeting, a couple of minutes before, a couple of minutes after, and like that service tick, right? No results. Why? Because they say we have to let go of our old ideas, else the result will be nil. So my old idea was service is rocking up at a meeting. And I'm not saying for anybody who's new that that's what you're doing now, but I was doing this knowing that I had to start sponsoring. My sponsor was at me. Like, you got to get a newcomer and you got to take them through the work. And what I didn't realize was that the big book describes so many times the cadence with which we have to carry the message, the intensity with which we have to work with others. It has to be vigorous. It has to be an inconvenience. It has to be an act of self-sacrifice. And for me, just rocking up on a Sunday when I knew I wasn't going to nap and I knew everybody else was asleep, like, it wasn't a self-sacrifice. And I was hanging out with a bunch of cool people. Again, just self-seeking, like it was what Nadia could get out of this gig, you know? And it was actually, thank God, it was at that meeting that I got to spend time with a lot of members who'd walked this road before. And the message was very, very strong on step 12 and how to carry the message and talking about it out of the big book. And then I started putting two and two together. And I was like, because, I don't know if you're a real alkie like me, I will push something to the absolute, like, bitter ends, even in recovery, like the bitter ends, or accept spiritual help. Like, what does bitter ends look like? And it's only when I'm really suffering, like I explained to you at 18 months, insomnia's returned, the voices are back, the shaking's back, the suicidal thoughts are back. Only then do I reach out and go, like, what's wrong with me? Well, Nadia, you're not working vigorously with another newcomer. It's not frequent contact and it's not a self-sacrifice. So, all right, so I resume that and I resume it with the obsession like only we can, right? Because we have this disease of more. It's like, oh my God, if it feels this great working with one newcomer, I wonder what like 10 will be like, right? This is like the best guard dope in the world, working with newcomers and taking them through the steps and taking a step 5. What a privilege. What a privilege to take someone's step 5. You know, I used to use people's one of my defects of character was that I could get you to tell me everything in an eye blink. Like, people would just randomly tell me stuff. But that characteristic I would use in my friendship circles because then I would garner information about this one and use it as currency here to get you on my team and to get you to back up. You know the drill. Okay, so gossip was a terrible thing for me. And here I am taking step 5s. And people are sharing their absolute deepest, darkests with me, their whole life story, not the rehab life story, the defects, the resentments, the fears, those secret private voices that we don't share with others, the fears that we've never shared with anybody. And I'm sitting taking these step 5s and I'm watching wrinkles disappear. I'm literally watching faces come to life, eyes start to brighten up, and it's just like, this is amazing. I cannot get enough of this. But what we don't get told enough in these rooms is what the book goes on to tell us. And I'm going to continue reading for us now. It may mean sharing your money and your home, counseling frantic wives and relatives, innumerable trips to police courts, sanitariums slash rehabs. It's a bit of an old word. It's real funky old, there's some funky old English language in here, but it's still cool. I actually thought this book belonged in a secondhand bookstore, but it does not. It belongs right next to my bed and in my car always. Hospitals, jails, and asylums. Your telephone, my telephone, jangled at any time of day or night. Your wife, husband may sometimes say he is neglected. A drunk may smash the furniture in your home or burn a mattress. You may have to fight with him if he is violent. Sometimes you will have to call a doctor and administer sedatives under his direction. Another time, you may have to send for the police or an ambulance. Occasionally, you will have to meet such conditions. We are not pleasant creatures when we are in our cups, right? Okay, so I can't say that I've had my furniture burnt, but what I have done is I've been to a few funerals. I've had a couple of phone calls where I got given a Zoom link and a time because they didn't make it. Because this disease will take us to the gates of insanity or death. And it has, and it does, and it's heartbreaking. And right in the beginning, the first funeral that I went to, I remember I was so selfish at that funeral, if I think about it now, because all I could talk about all day long was how, in heaven's name, do you sit in the rooms and you've done the work and you've done your inventory and you started with the amends and you started working with others and you end up dying on me. Like, that is the epitome of selfishness. Like, how can you end up dying on me? No regard to the family that's sitting there. They cannot understand how a 32-year-old woman has passed on. And I spent some time with her brothers afterwards, and they said to me that it was just them and their very, very intimate family that knew that she had a using problem. And at the funeral, Tim, can you believe it? At the funeral, all the invites that were sent out were bring your favorite drink. They didn't know. They didn't know. And this program asks us 5 times in one paragraph in how it works. Rigorous honesty. Bill does not screw around with the kind of intensity that we have to bring to this program. Rigorous honesty. The thing is, someone like me, I cannot be rigorous honest. I Lying is my absolute default. Lying about my name, where I come from. I used to be a gypsy. I was never Nadia. I was Nadine, or I don't know. I'd random name. For me to speak the truth took huge effort. And just recently, about 3 weeks ago, I've been working with a woman for quite a while, and in and out. She's in and out, in and out. And I came to her home the one day. She called me the morning. She said, "I'm done." And I'd heard I'm done. The famous alcoholic war cry, I'm done, never, ever, ever again. I'm done. I can't tell you how many times I've said that. Um, but that morning, there was something in her, because I'd been walking with her shoulder to shoulder. Whether she was drinking or coming in or coming out, I never turned my back on her. Because, when we have that moment of silence before the meeting starts, and that moment of silence when the meeting ends, we're praying for people like her. And you guys were praying for me. That moment of silence is a sacred, precious, powerful, powerful action. And I was determined for this. I was determined. And that morning I heard in her voice, I heard, "I'm done," but I heard that desperation. That beautiful desperation of a drowning woman that we need, that's that gift, then like this is it. And I did not wait. I did not shower that morning. I didn't brush my teeth. I was in my pajamas and I waltzed right over to her place. I didn't care because I knew I had a gut feeling this was it. Because now, remember, I'm still early in recovery. I ain't no pro in sponsoring. I sponsor and I sponsor and I sponsor, and I'm like, this one's gonna get it. This one's gonna be like this. And like I said, I've been so wrong. I've been so wrong, and I've made so many mistakes as well. And I got to her place, and I could just see the look in her eyes. And she said to me, "I am done. I am done. I am done. But I can't be around." And I mean, everywhere in her home, it's just her home is an altar to alcohol. You know, it's an absolute altar. In South Africa, we're huge in rugby, so it's like the rugby colors, and there's like anyway. And she just said to me, like, "What do we do?" And I just sat and I remember my sponsor saying to me the first time when I came back into these rooms, it was in COVID. And There were only Zoom meetings. There were no rooms to go to. There were no treatment centers. And that's how I got clean again, coming back into these rooms was through the Zoom rooms. And I just thought, we're in a town, there's not many meetings. We'll just do Zoom rooms and I'll get her into the big book like super quick. Because that work takes really quick, actually, the 12 steps, really quick. And and then I was like, pause, pause. I called someone. I went back to the big book. I was like, what does the book say? The book says that we we don't well, they don't mind hospitalization if they are befogged. And this lady could not, I mean, she couldn't stand up properly, even not having drunk a day or two. So I drove her to a local center, which is not really very local. I live in a seaside village, a holiday village, so I have to travel to a main city with her. And it was the most horrifying trip that day because I saw myself for 2 hours while we were driving. I saw and heard myself, and I'd forgotten. I'd forgotten, Lindsay. I'd forgotten because the cats come back. There's money at the end of the month. I've got medical aid, like insurance, like I'm grown upping and I'm being a mom, I'm consistent. Things are amazing. All these beautiful promises in the big book are starting to come true. And I forget and I start falling asleep. And I'm so grateful to that woman. She calls me every second day when they get a chance to, which is amazing. And she's been sending me photos lately. She's picked up weight. And I'm like, I'm just waiting for her to say, like, because they don't do the 12 steps in that treatment center. But that's a bone of contention. We don't discuss outside issues here. I'm not going to be divisive and go down that rabbit hole. But she said to me yesterday, she can't wait to get back home. 13 days, she's going to be back home. I'm going to go fetch her. And she's like, I can't wait to get into the steps, man. I just can't wait, Nadia. And you told me that I'm going to be sponsoring. I can't wait to do that either. I'm like, what? What? Like, this is the miracle of this. This is the miracle of that silent moment that we have before the meeting starts and after the meeting ends. That is the miracle. That is the power of God. Here's a woman who, when her daughter asked if she could give her money for her wedding, was like, how dare she ask me? It's like, it's your daughter, it's a wedding. That's what we do. If we can, we do. And like not even 2 weeks later, and this woman's saying she can't wait to get back home into the black and white and into the fold. Like, come on, if anybody's here tonight and you are not sure if this deal is for you, just look at these images, just listen to what I've just told you. This is a space of miracles. And I do not say that tongue in cheek. I do not use that word lightly because I've never witnessed miracles until I came into these rooms. Miracles on the daily. Like we are so spoiled here. On the daily, I get to see miracles. And I promise you, I cannot wait. I cannot wait to make that 2-hour trip to go fetch her, load her in the car, and drive back. And she's going to do the talking all the way home, and that's fine. That's fine. I can't wait. And I'm going to get her hooked up on Audio Anonymous, and I'm going to get her hooked up on this meeting. And she's going to be coming here, and she's going to be telling you her story soon. And you know how that was possible? You and God. Us together, that partnership, the power of God and the power of you guys being used as vessels to carry this message. And I know things look pretty dark and pretty weird out there. You just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep your eye on this game. Keep your eye on helping each other. Keep your eye on carrying this message. Keep your eye on that. And keep praying at the beginning of a meeting and keep praying at the end of the meeting. There's so much power in that. Tim, thanks so much. And I'm sorry I was a little bit late tonight. I had to wrap up. And you come on my side. I love you, my brother, and I love all of you so much. And yeah, walking shoulder to shoulder. What a privilege. What an absolute, absolute privilege. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. God bless.
Thank you so much, Nadia. for sharing with us. You're not quite out of the hot seat yet, though. We will now open up the room for Q&A. Please limit your questions to about 2 minutes. You can also post a question in the chat or anonymously to one of the service team. We especially welcome questions from our newer members. The chat function is now open. Please show your gratitude to Nadia by rolling out some love in the chat. Okay. Ollie, please come on in with your question, sir.
I will, Tim. Thanks so much, Nadia. As soon as you started speaking, I was like, "Wow, this woman's on fire!" It really captivated me, and I was just so lit up when I was hearing you speak. My question is on page 95. It says, "Simply lay out the kit of spiritual tools for his inspection." And it says somewhere else, use everyday language to describe spiritual principles. How do you do that with the newcomer, Nadia? Thanks.
Thanks, Ollie. And yeah, thanks for what you do for the fellowship. I know, I see your name all over the show. So the simple spiritual toolkits is the first thing I get them to do is pray. Pray. And if they got beef with God or they got beef with the word higher power because it feels all culty, I don't care. I encourage them to, we find whatever it is. We find universe, the love, because that's what we're offered here, right? We're offered a space to find a God of our own understanding, our own experience. Maybe Bill should have actually used experience because we have had an experience with God, whether it's that 911 God we called when we were in trouble, or the God that we call it when we're smushed up against the toilet. We all know that there's something out there. We know, especially the day we come in here. And that is the first thing. I drill into them that it's prayer and meditation, however that looks. There's enough people in these Zoom rooms to ask. Um, and I always meet them where they're at, like whatever language, because in South Africa, we have 11 dialects. And we have with that, I can't tell you, I don't know how many different cultures. We've got Dutch. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So having gone to school with all these people and we're chameleons, right? That's what I love about step 6 and 7. God keeps our defects of character that we're not too happy with because they help others. I can speak trash. I can speak trash talking when I'm speaking to a newcomer. I can speak, I can speak to the one who's full of pride and, has to seem like there's nothing wrong with them. I can meet them where they're at and speak their language. Like that's the two things I do. I speak their language. If they swear, I swear back. If they're super reserved and just like the book explains to us. But that simple spiritual toolkit, the first thing we get going with is prayer. There's so many other spiritual exercises, so many, but prayer, because it's that daily practice of prayer that their faith starts building because they start seeing what they prayed for this morning. You're talking about in the meeting, like, where's that CCTV camera? And slowly but surely they start getting glimmers of God. I hope that answered it, Ollie.
Thank you so much, Ollie, for your question, and Nadia for your answer. Matt, you're up next, sir. Please come on in.
Thanks, Tim. I'm Matt. I'm an addict. Thank you so much, Nadia. I really appreciate your share, your positivity, and your passion for the program. I've just completed my step 5 this morning, and yeah, things are changing, and I'm really looking forward to sponsoring as well, because it has been about me for way too long. It's been all about me for way too long, and it's just been too painful. So yeah, I'm really grateful for it. And my question is, what does it's a bit of a broad one, I suppose, but what does practicing the principles in all your affairs look like for you on a day-to-day basis? Cheers.
Awesome. Step 5. What freedom, right, my brother? What freedom? We get we get we get like an identity, we get a purpose, and we get two childhoods. The one we told ourselves we had and the one that we actually find we had in step 5. Like what a joy. Practicing these principles in all our affairs. There's this beautiful image that my sponsor showed me. It's the finger of David, finger of Adam, finger of David. It's where God's coming out of, I think it's God coming out of the sky, and this really lazy, arrogant guy's like lying, crooked fingered. God's like reaching out to him. Actually, I don't know if I have it on. Anyway, I'll send it to Tim. You can pop it on the WhatsApp group. But there's around God are these cherubs, and they are pushing him and driving him, and they're holding him and they're rugby tackling him to get him to us. And those are the spiritual principles. That's where the power of this program lies. Humility, patience, all those, the things I am not, Matt. I am impatient. I lie. I destroy things. I am jealous. I want what you have, and I'm gonna take it while you're not looking. And when you have something that I want, or you have something I think you've taken of mine, I'm going to tell everybody. Like there's no grace in me. There's no kindness in me. There's zero tolerance. So practicing these principles is practicing the power of pause. I've got a passport to pause land. Pause is one of the instructions on page 86. I have a passport that goes to pause land. When I can feel the madness, the irritation, and I'm like, okay, pause. I don't always get it right. I don't. So I'm not, please, I'm just a satisfied customer. I don't know better. I'll practice, I'll pause, and I'll just remember, like it's like rote, like what is the opposite of irritation? Okay. What is it? It's grace, kindness. What does that look like? Practice that. Remember, we are in the world to play the role that he assigns. So I get to, because that's that chameleon. I love being an actress. You can see it. I mean, here I am, I'm performing. It's what I do. I love this stuff. I love it. So I practice tolerance. I practice grace, and I picture what they look like. Like if they were human beings, what would they look like? And I try to emulate them. Practice is the word though, because it's it doesn't come naturally. It doesn't come naturally. But in step 6 and step 7, God genuinely removes that stuff, because I have read so many self-help books to be kinder. I have taken so many mood stabilizers to just be gentle. So I get to practice those things when I want to do the things the way I do them. I have to practice these principles. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Keep going, my brother. Keep going.
Thank you so much, Matt, for the question. And once again, Nadia, for your answer. Simon, you're up next, my friend. Come on in.
Hi, thanks, Tim. Simon Addict. Thanks everyone who's done service so far, and thanks Nadia for a great chat. I think I've been sponsoring now about 4 or 5 months, and I love taking my sponsees to the book. Obviously, because it's teaching them, but also every time I go through each chapter, I learn something new. So that really helps me. So my question is to you, Nadia. What's your favorite bit about sponsoring?
Simon, thank you. I love that. The fact that each time I go through this process, I learn something new. A recent thing comes to mind, the sick man's prayer on page, where's it?
7-ish.
Thank you. It's the one where like, this is a sick, perhaps they were spiritually sick.
Yeah.
And then we say, God, save me from being angry. So I always thought that it said, God, show them, the sick one, not me, show them the same patience, pity, tolerance, and love that we would a sick friend. I always thought it was like, that's cool, God, you show it to them. And it's like, and then the other day, I've done that so many times, that because the sick man's one of the tools, right? And I was like, oh my word, it says, God, help me show them. And I got to see that those 4 words are mercy, which is what God has shown me. So then, oh man, I love it. I love it. I love it. The big book is like a magic book. Every time I open it, there's just these words rearrange themselves, and fairies fly out, and sparks. And anyway, I don't have to tell you, I can see you got that smile all over your face. Thanks.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Nadia.
much, Simon, and thank you, Nadia. Katie, you're up next. Please come on in.
Hi, thank you everyone. Katie Addict. Thanks so much, Nadia. What a powerful message. You mentioned in your share about that you've made lots of mistakes while sponsoring, I just wondered, what is the biggest lesson you've learned from making mistakes? Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks for that slice of humble pie. I don't like making mistakes, and I don't like admitting that I get it wrong. It's a huge it's pride. And one thing that I got desperately wrong was when I came into these rooms, because I'd been in and out for 7 years and I couldn't get it. And the day I heard Big Book, I went so bonkers for it that I smacked everyone over the head with it. And it was like, you're doing it wrong. Boom. You're doing it wrong. Boom. And oh man, I can't tell you how very, very, very Lindsay knows, I've had this chat with her, how very unpopular I am in my little town at the face-to-face meetings because they are just like, oh no, not that chick. So what it has taught me is the Big Book actually tells us, do not preach to them from a spiritual hilltop. Do not be an evangelist. Do not be a crusader. Nadia did not read the instructions. I did not. So I've really learned with sponsoring, even though I'm so gung ho for it and like I love them and I love this, I love this life that we have. I have to pause and I have to prepare and I have to invite God in and I have to talk to my God squad when I sponsor someone. I don't do that stuff on my own. I did in the beginning. Lone Ranger got me nowhere. Oh gosh. Yeah. Thanks, Katie. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your question, Katie, and Nadia for your answer. Aaliyah, you are up next. Please come on in.
Hi everyone. Sorry, apologies for coming in late. Thank you so much, Nadia, for your share. It's funny because I was literally just saying to a fellow yesterday, I was like, I'm dreading having to sponsor someone. I can't sponsor. I don't have the time and this and that. And after hearing your share there, it's like it was a God speaking to me. And I'm kind of excited now. But quick question when you are sponsoring, I'm a person that takes on everyone's emotions. I have so much empathy, and this is what worries me. You know, you mentioned about the like step five, it's a like good experience to get someone through that. But I also dread hearing all the awful things they've been through because I'll carry it with me. Do you have any boundaries in place when you sponsor and to protect yourself? And if so, what are they?
So there's a couple of things, Aliyah, and we're so like, we need you, sister. You got this. We need you. And sponsoring, listen here, there are 3 times that the Big Book warns us that we'll drink. If we don't take a step five, if we don't deal with our creditors, and if we don't work with others, what is our choice to be, right? And taking on other people's emotions, I'll tell you what'll happen. Before you pray, you are a vessel.
Hmm.
You're not the one doing that. You are not, you are a vessel. You are a straw for God's power to flow through and to help that other person. You're going to say stuff. Because you're going to pray, you're going to meditate, you're going to tap into the power of God before you take on a step five. Because there's some so I also have another Big Book that I absolutely adore and I absolutely base my life on it just as much as I do this one. It says in the other one, do not sit with a man in their sin, else you be tempted. So you don't mess around when you go in step five. You prepare yourself spiritually and you will be surprised at what flies out of your mouth because it's not you. It's not you. It's God helping one of his kids wake up. And that stuff that you're going to hear, you know what's going to happen? You're not going to remember none of it. You're going to remember none of it because you're going to take a quiet hour, just like the Big Book instructs you. Not just her, not just him, because I hope you're sponsoring men and women. It doesn't say we can't. The book is going to ask you to take a quiet hour. So you're going to take a quiet hour and you're going to thank God that you got to know him better. And those bits of that story, they're going to be part of the story you're going to use when next you make the approach to a newcomer. It might not be your story, but you've heard so much that when you're armed, because you're going to be armed with the facts of all the step fives you've heard, so that you can speak to that newcomer.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Nadia. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Aaliyah, and thank you, Nadia, for your question. Dave, your hand is up, sir. Please come on in.
Thanks, Tim. I'm Dave. I'm a recovered addict. Good to be here, Nadia. Wow. I was really tired after work and I thought I'm on service, which I love. And then you just lit us all up. My question is, how do you navigate if you have someone that, does a 4 and 5 and carries on working the program and then they go back out for some more pain, and if that happens more than once, how do you navigate getting them back, or do you have to sit back and wait for them?
Yeah, this is what Aaliyah was alluding to, Nana. This is the whole thing. The more we work this program, the softer our hearts get and the bigger they get, and the more we love our brothers and sisters. We want them to wake up, and we want them to come with us, right? We want them to come home with us. That's the whole point here. We start off selfishly, but the more we walk, Dave, the more our hearts get softer and mushier and bigger. So there's something someone told me once. How do you help an addict? You don't. We are beyond human aid, the A, B's, and C's. You are a human aid. A sponsor is a human aid. These shares are human aids. Meetings are a human aid. If they are still thirsty, or if they are still in the madness, there's absolutely nothing we can do. What we can do is we do not shoot our wounded. We stay close. We stay close. We send them shares. We send them meeting links. Every now and then, hey, I'm going to a meeting, need a lift. Not, hey, how you doing? Mm-mm. Not in my opinion. Send them meetings, send them the tools, and make sure that they know that because your responsibility, our responsibility statement is that our hand always has to be reached out to them. No matter how ugly and pathetic and desperate it looks like, it ain't going to happen. There's a brother of mine who's in this fellowship, and I'm sure you all know him and all have heard him speak. He is 62, 64 now, 42 years in and out of the rooms, and he celebrated 4 years the other day. Took him forever. But he's an absolute soldier for this work. He's on fire. He loves this program. He sponsors from the morning to the night. God eventually used him. Eventually, he got there. So I always use that story as my, for those ones that suck. They just don't get it. And you're allowed to be sad and frustrated. You are. Because you found that beautiful load, that treasure. You found it. And you
Thank
just
you.
want to give it to them, right?
Yeah.
But we can't.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave, for your question, and Nadia for your answer. I'm not seeing any more hands, so I'm going to give it a moment or two, see if any more of you have any further questions. Okay, guess it's time for me to ask my question. Nadia, did you have any connection with God before you came into the program, or has this all come as a result of working the steps?
Thanks, Tim. So, from the age of 2, my mom has this anecdote where I was 2 years old, and I remember this. I do remember this. I have 2 memories when I was 2. And I know that you guys get me because I'm sitting in a room of people that I've seen you nod your head the whole night at me. So I know I'm sitting with my kind. We remember stuff from like probably in the womb, right? But I remember 2 things. I remember having murderous thoughts towards my sister at the age of 2.5 because she was like brand new and getting all the attention that I had been getting. Like I remember that. Okay. And it's only in these rooms that we can say this. And at the age of 2, 2.5, 3, I remember being visited by what I thought was an angel, and this beautiful light being said to me, I love you and you're going to be okay. And I told my mom that same story. And by the age of 7, I was completely eyeballs deep in mission work at the church, like completely eyeballs deep. You know why? You know why? Because it was the only place I felt safe and accepted. The people loved me there. They freaking loved me. I could rehearse the Bible. I was always helping out, just like in our rooms. It was such a great fellowship. And I had amazing, amazing, amazing spiritual experiences. I tell you, I had amazing spiritual experiences. That is why when I turned my back on that lifestyle, and at the age of 15, I had my first drug, and it was a spiritual experience. I was like, because I wanted nothing to do with God. Nothing, nothing, nothing. After years of dedicating my life to him, and there was a bunch of stuff that happened to me in 1 year, the usual, the abuse, the trauma, the loss, the stuff that we just cannot bear. We cannot bear. But coupled with that, I had this dedication to God, and then he let that happen to me. And then I was somewhere like, and then he lets that happen to his son. No, no, no. I want nothing to do with him. Nothing. Nothing. So I did have a spiritual experience when I was much younger, but I had a vehement violently anti-religious approach. When the book talks about violently anti-religious, that's why when I came in here, Tim, I had such beef with the word God that only in year 4, did a sponsor who was also a Tim C, funny enough, say to me, Nadia, you are not going to get well. You are not going to get better because you hate God. And I was like, oh, you can't say that. We're in the rooms of AA and CA. You can't say we hate God. I mean, God's the whole reason we're all here. And I remember I went bright purple. And he was like, you hate God and you need to do a step 4. And I did. And it was amazing because that punitive God that I had, the old idea, got knocked off its pedestal. And the beautiful, beautiful, all loving, all powerful, roomy, broad highway. Yeah, that's what was replaced.
Thank you so much, Nadia. And our final question at night is going to be from Sue. Please come on in, Sue.
Hi, Sue, recovered addict. Hi, Nadia. Oh, wow. You are fire. Yeah, you've blown me away with your enthusiasm and just your grasp of all this. What I wanted to ask you was, what does acting the Good Samaritan every day look like for you?
Cool. Thank you. I love that story. So I'm going to refer to another book. In that book, there is a Jewish guy who'd been beaten up and was left to die on the road. And Samaritans and Jews hated each other. Like it was not only did they hate each other, it was culturally a sin for them to even look at each other's way, like in each other's directions. And this Jewish guy was he'd been beaten up and robbed, and he was really not doing well on the side of the road. And a couple of his people walked past and they turned a blind eye, maybe gave him some water. But this Samaritan guy, who's not allowed to even come close to him, it makes him ritually unclean, kneels down, cleans him up as best he can, hoiks him up, takes him to the nearest inn, pays for him to stay there, visits him every day to make sure that he's okay, and then tells the innkeeper when he needs to go back to the town he came from, tells the innkeeper that he will come back in a couple of days to square this man's debt. That is not a kindly act once a day, every now and then. It's not a how's it, newcomer, WhatsApp. That is intensive, vigorous, shoulder to shoulder work with a newcomer.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
Sue.
Sue, and thank you so much, Nadia. Thank you again, Nadia, for your service this evening. It has been a pleasure having you with us. Thank you to everyone who's attended, those that asked a question, did a reading for us, and to the service team for making this meeting possible.